Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So thank you for stopping by, and if this is your first time of coming across this channel, you're highly welcome. So this channel is centered around sewing. I make sewing style videos and pattern drafting. So if this is a niche that you like to get updated on, you can as well consider subscribing to my channel, because you are never going to regret subscribing to my channel. And to all my wonderful subscribers, thank you all haulers for subscribing to my channel and always coming back to watch my videos. So in today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how to make a simple shirt gown with a collar. Yeah, I'm going to make it very simple, this and it's definitely going to be a beginners friendly tutorial. So without wasting much time, I'll just get started with today's tutorial. So let's go there. So in the making of this dress, I'll be working with this Ankara fabric or African print fabric, and I have 3 yards of this fabric here with me. So I'll just get started by folding this fabric into 2, just the normal way it's been folded whenever I want to start drafting on a piece of fabric. So from that top area, I'm just going to mark 2.5 inches, and this will serve as the button allowance. So I'm going to mark this from the top area all the way to the actual length of this gown. So after marking that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect all of these dotted lines together. So after that, now my measurement is going to start exactly from that line and not from the edge of my fabric. I went ahead to mark my shoulder of 16 inches divided into 2 8 inches, and my neck width of 2 inches, and I came in by a neck depth of 2.5 inches. So I'm using my curve rule now to connect this into a shapeful neckline. So after this, now I'll come to that point where I marked my shoulder divided into 2. I'll come down by 2 inches, which will be my shoulder slope, and I'm going to connect it slightly into my neck opening. So from that point, I'm going to mark 8 inches, which is my armhole, and I will use my ruler to connect all from that top area down to my armhole length, which I just marked. So the next thing I'll go ahead to do is to divide this my armhole into 2 equal halves, and whatever I have, I'm going to mark the midpoint, and at that midpoint I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch. So on that my other line, I divided my post circumference by 4, and I mark whatever I got on that other line, and I went ahead to connect like this using my curved rule. So having done this, now I'll go ahead now to start imputing all my other measurements. Here is my half length on my waistline of 16 inches. I went ahead to also mark my hip line on my hip length of 26 inches. So after that, I also went ahead to mark my gown length of 36 inches. So after marking, I'm going to use my ruler to connect all of these marks which I made here into a straight line. So having done this, now the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is to mark my nipple to nipple measurement. So here I'm working with a nipple to nipple measurement of 3.5 inches. So I went ahead to mark it on my waistline and on my hip line and on my chest line as well. So having done that, I will use my straight ruler and connect all these lines together. So on my waistline, I went ahead to come out by 1/2 inch at both sides on that line, and I'm just going to connect this like this, and this is just simply how to create a dart for this gown. So having done this, now I'll go ahead now to start imputing my body measurements. So you all know that on the chest line, I already divided my bust circumference into 4, so I'm maintaining that line. I went ahead to divide my waist circumference into 4. I marked it right there, and here is my hip. I'll divide into 4, and I'll mark whatever I got here, and I'm going to subtract 1 inch from my actual full length to get the circumference. Okay, so now after doing that, I'll go ahead and connect all of this like this. And on the hip area, I'm going to make use of my curved rule to connect as well. So this is how I went ahead to connect, and the next thing I'm going to do here is to replace my dart. So I'll come to my waistline on my half length, and I'm going to mark the 1 inch dart intake which I already gave to this dress, and I'm just going to connect this like this, because the only part that this dart has to be replaced is the part where it was created. So that is basically it, and I'll go ahead now to put my sewing or seam allowance. So right here, if you watch properly, I added 3 inches. Reason for this is because this dress is not going to be fitted. So with this 3 inches allowance I added, I'm actually going to stitch in only 1 inch at both sides. So this 3 inches at both sides now is 6 inches. By the time I stitch into 1 inch at both sides, it's going to be 2 inches. So I'll now be left with 4 inches, because it's actually going to be free, just like the way you saw it at the beginning of this video. So after that, now I'll go ahead and connect all of these lines together. So here, having done all of that, now I'm going to create that curvy effect at the front part of this gown. So there is actually where my gown length stopped, but I'm going to mark extra 5 inches. So you can see what I did. So for my actual length, for my actual measurement and not from the allowance, I came down by half of an inch, and I'm just going to slightly connect this with my curved rule into the 5 inches where I came down by from my actual gown length. I hope you understand the explanation I'm giving here. So try as much as possible to blend this very well, and now I'm done. I'm going to extend that half of an inch all the way to the other side of my allowance. So after this, now I'll just go ahead and cut out this gown exactly the way it is. So after cutting this out, now I'll come to my button allowance area and make a knot right there, so it will be easy for me. So I'll go ahead now to draft that for my back panel or the back part of my gown. So what I have to do is to get another piece and fold it into 2, and I'm just going to get this my front drafted or cut out piece. I'm going to fold in the button allowance area inward or inside, so you can see it's not appearing here. So I'm going to place it exactly the way it is on this my other folded piece, and I'll go ahead and cut out exactly the way it is on this other piece. So everything will be the same excluding the button allowance, because it's the front area that is carrying the button and not the back. So just fold in the button allowance area and cut out every other thing the same way. So after this, now I'll go ahead now to open up that my button allowance area. So I'm going ahead to separate these 2 pieces of fabric. So after opening this up, I'm going to secure or take note of the part I notched as my button allowance. So having done that, now I'm going to fold that part inside. Or firstly, I'm going to place my hemming gum exactly on that notched area, and I'm going to fold this in. Just watch carefully so you understand what I mean, even if you don't understand my explanation. So from that notch area, I had to fold this inwardly like this, and I placed my hemming gum at the edge of that folded part. Okay, so after that, now I'm going to fold in the remaining allowance here, and I'll go ahead now to iron this. So after doing this, if you feel like you don't want to go ahead to stitch this any longer, you are free to, but I had to stitch mine even after ironing this down with a hemming gum. So if you want to take my step, you can as well go ahead and spray water, and also iron this down. So I flip this to the right side of my fabric and also iron this generously. So now I will go ahead and do this for the two parts of this front dress, and I will show you guys what it looks like, so you can see how neat and actually is firm, unlike when you don't add anything to that. So now I'm going ahead now to take in my darts, which I marked earlier on while drafting this gown. So I went ahead to mark my 3.5 nipple to nipple, and at both sides I came in and I came out by 1/2 inch, and I connected. So the same procedure I'm going to repeat here, and I'm just going to take in my darts. So do ensure you do this for all of the piece, but the front and the back piece. Okay, so this is how I'll stitch this, and when I'm done doing that, I'll go ahead to bring my back panel and my front panel shoulder to shoulder. I'll be joining them separately or individually. So I'll first go ahead and join the shoulder, and you can see I'm pinning it down right here, and after that I'll go ahead as well to also bring the two sides together. That's for the front and the back. I'll pin this down, and I'll go ahead now to mark 1 inch from the beginning part to the end part of my actual gown length, just like I told you earlier. So after marking this, now go ahead and stitch up all of these sides, and when I'm done, I'm going to come over to my neck area. I'm going to make sure that I bring the two front parts together facing each other, and I'm going to pin this, making sure that the two shoulder aligns properly. So after this, I'll take the measurement of my neck area. You can see it's already folded into two, so I'm going to take the measurement because I'm trying to draft a collar here at this point. So after taking that, I'm going to get my hat stay, and I'm going to fold this into two, of which after folding into two, I'll go ahead now to mark the measurement the actual measurement I got when I took the measurement for my neck. Okay, so I got it right there, and I went ahead to make a mark. So this is actually going to be my collar stand, and I went ahead to mark 1 inch, and after marking that 1 inch, you can see I went ahead to connect using my stretch ruler, and at that edge I'm just going to give it a bit curve because I don't want it straight. So the next thing I'll go ahead to draft at once is the collar itself. So for this collar, I'm not going to work with the exact collar stand length. Is going to be shorter, so I went ahead to minus 1 inch from this actual collar, and for the height I prefer marking 2 inches. So this is it, and I connected this, and at that top area, because I want this to have a little bit of design, I came out by 1/2 inch and slightly connected into the neck like this. So this is all for drafting the collar stand and the collar. So I'll just go ahead now and cut out everything I have here the exact way it looks. So after this, now I'm going to get my fabric and watch how I fold this into two. So after folding this, I'll make sure I iron this down for it to be flat, and I'm going to get my collar. And okay, spraying water here is optional, but make sure your iron is very hot to be able to make this hard stay stick on this your fabric. So I went ahead to do this, and it actually got sticked. And after that, I'll go ahead now and cut this out. So I'm just going to cut out for the both sides. Okay, just watch carefully to see what I'll do here. So cut out for the both sides alone and keep it aside. So I went ahead to bring my collar stand and also repeated the same procedure. I went ahead to cut out for the both sides. I haven't touched the top area yet, so you can see after cutting this, I am going to make sure that this aligns very well, and I'm going to iron this properly, and that's for the collar stand area. So for this collar stand area, you're going to mark half of an inch all around because it's going to be your seam allowance. So I didn't really start marking this because I'm already used to this, so I already know what half of an inch looks like without marking it. So all around you're going to leave allowance of half of an inch all around this collar stand. Okay, so I'll do this and keep this aside now. So I'll bring my actual collar and I'm going to stitch the way you see my hand go all around, excluding the bottom part. So you're going to stitch by 1/4 of an inch away from this hard stay. So after stitching, that's now when you go ahead to cut off the excesses at the two sides and at the top area. But please, at that bottom area, do not touch or sew that area. So after cutting off these excesses, now I'll go ahead now to also give this bottom part half of an inch, which will serve as this joining or seam allowance. So after this, I will turn this to the right side for you to have a proper view of what this looks like. Now go ahead and give this a very nice pressing and ironing. Okay, so after making sure you iron this flat very well, I'll bring the two parts together and I'll take note of the center and nudge it. So I'll repeat the same procedure for the collar stand. I'll bring these two parts together like this and I'm going to take note of the center and also nudge it as well. So for the placement of this collar stand on this collar, you are actually going to ensure that the parts that will be fixed to the neck of our dress will be facing upward. So if you watch very well, you understand what I mean here. The part that is going to sit into the neckline is up. Okay, so just take notes. The curved part is facing down while the straight part is facing upward, and that's the part that is going to sit to the neck of our dress. So I went ahead to place this and you can see that everything aligns, and I'm going to stitch the sides and the bottom area, leaving only the part facing upward open. So after doing that, this is what I have. I'm cutting off the excesses and I'll flip this to the right side of this fabric, so you can see that this collar is ready. The collar is all set and nice and is all ready. So this is how simple it is to draft a collar. So I'll get back to my neck of my dress and notch the midpoint of it, and I'll go ahead and remove the pins which I use in pinning it down. So I'm going to get this my collar because I'm about to fix or attach this collar to this dress right here. So I'll get to the middle of my collar and I'm going to open this up because I went ahead to place the part where I ironed my hat stay. I went ahead to place it on this dress, so it is going to be my guideline on how to stitch this without taking excess allowance. So from that midpoint, now I place this the two notch parts together, making sure that it's aligned. So I went ahead to pin one side of this collar to this dress, and after pinning one side, I'll move over to the other side and pin as well. So after pinning, this is how you're going to run a stitch the exact way you pin. So you can see what I did right here. So I've gone ahead to stitch this and I'm removing my pins. So you can see we still have one part of this still open. So the next thing I will do now is to flip this over to the wrong side, and I'm going to make sure that I put in the rough edges on this dress inside, and that half of an inch sewing allowance we left on the collar earlier on, we are going to also fold it inwardly like this. And as you're folding, please spray water and iron this very well. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm doing this because at the end of the day, all this I'm doing will give me a neat work and a neat finishing. So this is it, and after this, it will not take you anything to actually stitch this down. Just the same way which you have ironed this, just go ahead and stitch straight. So after doing that, now you can go ahead and give this a little design by running through it or stitching across this collar. It's optional if you feel like you want to do so. So you can see how neat and already perfect this collar is looking on this dress. So I'll go ahead now to draft out for my sleeve, which will be a short sleeve. I went ahead to take my armhole measurement, and I went ahead now to also start drafting this. So if you have been following me on this channel, you should ought to know how to draft a basic sleeve by now. So this is what I was drafting here, and after drafting, I'm going to cut out and fix this to my actual dress. So that's basically it, and I'm going to do all of this now, and I'll show you the outcome of. And please don't forget your button, okay? Your buttonhole and your button is essential as well. So here's the outcome of the dress. You can see how fitted and nice it looks on my client. So I really do appreciate you coming this far to watch me. Subscribe if you're yet to subscribe. See you next time on the same channel. Bye.